Yeah, I think so. I think we're making some good progress.
That is wonderful. Remember, though, that the road to inner peace is not a straight line.
True enough. I like to say I didn't make my path. Nature did.
Samuel, you have the makings of a poet.
Oh, I meant it more literally. When I was walking in the woods, I just walked where the land led me.
But you see, this is a wonderful metaphor. If there is a valley between two mountains, that is the path nature takes us on. We often choose to climb the mountain instead when the easier path is made for us. Your experience guides your intuition more than you might expect, my friend.
Guess it's that peasant wisdom the Signora mentions.
Be careful with the labeling, my friend.
I didn't mean it in a bad way. I ain't ashamed of being a peasant. I'm just folks, as we like to say.
I can see why the Signora has become quite fond of you. Are you prepared for your session with her?
Yeah, I think with our progress, there might be some other distortions to focus on. Let me think. All right, locked and loaded.
The people of your country have so many colorful phrases having to do with firearms. I do not understand the obsession.
I can't explain it neither.
I shall leave you alone with the Signora, Samuel.
Howdy, Signora. Good to see you tonight.
You are looking forward to seeing me?
Well, sure I was. You're an interesting person, Signora. It's a privilege to get to know you.
I suppose you have learned something of manners yourself. I thought a lot about the things we talked about last time, you know.
Oh yeah? What about exactly?
About how foolish I was for wasting my time for so long fighting against reality.
Now hold on, Signora. Maybe you were fighting reality some, but that doesn't mean you were wasting your time. That fighting with reality is just part of what makes you human. It's your experience, your journey that you're learning from.
But if the aim was to control my family, I failed to achieve that aim.
Yeah, but that's real all-or-nothing aim, Signora. It's easy to fail when the conditions for winning are so narrow, right?
Yes. You are, of course, correct. Would that I had listened to the simpletons in my life earlier.
Are you going to let her talk to you like that, Samuel?
Would that I had listened to the Would that I had listened.
Maybe you can start by not calling them simpletons.
I meant it as a compliment. I wish I could be a simpleton.
I'm gonna need you to elaborate on that.
I mean what I say. Look at me, with my grand plans, my status, my dynasty, and all the pain that they have brought me. Who is the true fool, me or the simpleton?
Well, what if we're not fools or simpletons? What if we're just people being people? There's a lot of room between worms and gods, Signora.
Again, you prove your pastoral wisdom.
Well, I'm glad you've been doing some thinking. You were putting so much pressure on yourself to be the one keeping your family going. I can tell how much it was weighing on you.
I spent so long trying to fix them, trying to transform them into something that they were not. May I talk to you about my ex-husband, Sam?
Of course you can. I know he gave you a lot of grief.
He hurt me deeply, in so very many ways. He was the start of all my delusions because I thought I could fix him. I thought Frankie was the way he was because I was not an ideal wife. That perhaps he would have been faithful if I had been as beautiful or fertile as a Medici. I know I have been arguing with reality, as you have said, but the idea of a fruitful marriage, sanctified by God, this was the only reality I had. But that reality did not match with mine. God could not have blessed both our marriage and riddled Frankie's penis with French diseases.
French diseases?
We used to call syphilis the malfrance.
Diseases don't belong to any nationality. You sound like a certain politician from back home.
Do not insult me. Have I not suffered enough with my husband's disgusting malady? It was a painful lie to live. I could only conclude from my sorrow that God was testing me. Endlessly.
I want to challenge you on something there. That sounds like a kind of hopeless statement. Like you're doomed to keep being tested on God's terms.
Perhaps it was hopeless. As you said, Isabella d'Este and Francesco Gonzaga could not change their natures.
That's true, but here's the thing. Does that mean you were doomed, or were you just doomed on God's terms? I think this just needs a little reframing. I know you were dealt a rough hand, but it doesn't necessarily mean you were being tested. Sometimes we just gotta make do with the hand we got. What I'm suggesting is that then and now, a radical acceptance approach could have helped you.
What do you mean?
You could have had some sort of secret arrangement. That was...
Oh, we did have a secret arrangement. The arrangement was that he kept secrets from me and I pretended not to know about them.
Had you ever considered talking about it?
I could not. You do not know what it was like back then. A woman, even one such as I, was always subject to her husband. I did not have a say in his affairs. I had to play the part of the good wife and mother. You must understand, I only earned my significant power by playing the societal game.
But he knew you were aware of his indiscretions, didn't he?
It was hard to deny when he approached me with that rotten thing between his legs.
So why not bring the issue out in the open?
He would have become angry, I am sure. Perhaps he would have beaten me and taken away the privileges I had worked so hard to earn. Perhaps it is pointless to tread over the past again and again. What has happened has happened. It has been nearly 5 centuries. I should not let the past haunt me so. If I am true, Sam, I am still very angry about all the lies I was told. I may be harboring some resentment.
You don't say.
You will understand when I tell you of Frankie's greatest cruelty. I will tell you that the man, for all his fighting spirit, had very weak sperm, for he could not sprout a male seed in my womb. My first child was a girl. I could not have been more embarrassed, or so I thought, until I had my second child, who was also a girl. I will tell you, Sam, I was a young woman in mourning. I did not emerge from my chambers for weeks. The next time, finally, I had a boy, my beautiful Federico. He was such a charming child. He would entertain me so with his clownish behavior. May I show you a picture, Sam?
Well, sure, let's take a look.
Look at him. Isn't he beautiful? He could have been a movie star or a model today, don't you think? Admit it, he is the most handsome boy who ever walked this cursed earth.
Oh.
Why am I asking you? What do you know of beauty? Anyway, I gave all of myself to him, all my guidance, all my wisdom, and all of my love. Everyone said, "You are doting on him. Give him some air." How dare they tell me my business? I am Isabella d'Este. I know what is right.
Signora, I'm sure you knew what was best for your son, but ain't it possible that those people might have been able to help you? It's lonely work when you feel like you can't listen to anyone else.
Are you telling me how I should have raised my son?
I got a better sense of self-preservation than that, Signora. But you gotta admit, this Nosferatu thinking of being always right is pretty exhausting, ain't it?
Oh, that is true. And as it turned, it did not matter in the end. Frankie, in his supreme foolishness, managed to get himself captured by the French. He ransomed himself out of prison with something more precious than all the gold in Venezia, more valuable than the Pope's seat. He sold my son, my beautiful Federico.
Dang, that must have been devastating, Signora. I can't imagine how painful that must have been.
No, you cannot. For you will never be a mother to a son so beautiful, so intelligent, and so pure. But that was not the end of my pain. It was not enough to take my son away. Not content to merely break me, the French, as always, needed to corrupt.
What do you mean the French always needed to corrupt?
They are a debauched people. I know what they are like.
Signora, you're too smart to judge an entire group of people based on an icky sample. Besides, we're vampires. What the hell does it mean to be French or Italian after a century? All the people that made France French back then are dead now.
Yes, of course I am aware. I speak out of anger and hurt.
I figured. But honest heads make for honest hearts, I like to say. What did the French do to your son?
They sent my sweet Federico to a den of filth, a place where chastity went to die, straight to the crossroads of Sodom and Gomorrah. They sent him to the Vatican.
The Vatican? Seems like that'd be a pretty boring place for a boy to spend time.
This was Rodrigo Borgia's Vatican. It was a city of prostitutes and perverts, and he was their mayor. My poor Federico. He was a boy of a certain age. I could not have prepared him for the temptations he encountered. When he finally returned to me, he was no longer Isabella d'Este's child. He was the child of Francesco Gonzaga, an experienced whoremonger in his own right.
Hold on a sec. No longer your child? You can't think that's true. You raised that boy, and there's no way he could forget you. Maybe he got up to shenanigans out there in the Vatican, but you're only hurting yourself by erasing your influence on him. Now be honest. Did he lose everything you taught him?
No. He still had an appreciation of art, for which he had some taste. And he had some political acumen, I suppose.
I'm not saying you should forget what happened to your son. That would be pretty unrealistic. But give yourself some credit for the influence you had, huh?
You are kind, Sam. Thank you. But it is hard to forget the child who returned to me. I am a man now, mother, he would say. I do not have to listen to you. And indeed, he did not. Which is why he died of syphilis, just like his depraved father. He did not even have the courtesy to wait until I was dead. Now do you understand why I prefer the illusion of truth and beauty I try to bring to art? My mother told me when my marriage was young, Isabella, you must pretend that all is as it should be. The truth is dark, but you must maintain your own.
I hate to say it, Senora, but I think your mama was spouting a few should statements of her own. Keeping up that illusion must have been draining.
That is why I tried to create my own illusions. If I depicted love and chastity in their ideal form, I could make that illusion come true.
Well, Senora, if anyone were strong enough to change the world's morality, it might be you. But I think you know the truth is that you don't have that kind of control. No one does.
Then why am I here, Sam? Why are any of us here? Are we here to eat, sleep, fornicate, and die?
I know a few folk who might say that's why we're here. It's one of them existential questions, ain't it? Here's my take, Senora. I think you're here to be you.
I certainly hope you have something more intelligent to contribute than that.
I don't really. Here's the thing, Senora. None of us is going to change the world overnight, or even in a millennium of nights. But our being here, being ourselves, swings the pendulum in a whole bunch of unknowable ways.
That is a dark interpretation of reality. Are we truly so powerless?
What I'm saying, Senora, is not that we're powerless. I'm just saying we ain't gonna change the world on our own. Not everyone's gonna buy what we're selling, but some people are gonna get it. People are still out there talking about the art you brought to the world. Maybe fellas like me don't know who you are, and I bet that nasty pope from your time wasn't your biggest fan. But you can't help but be an influence on people. Just not all people. Ain't that so?
I do not know if that is enough for me, Sam.
Well, here's what I think we should do, Senora. All them efforts of yours are always facing outward. How about we spend some time on you?
What do you mean?
I mean, let's work on the things Isabella D'Este likes. Forget about the rest of the world. What are you putting in your art that's for you and not for anyone else? Is it a little embarrassing?
Hush. If you must know, it is centaurs. I like centaurs.
Hey, I ain't gonna judge. Sometimes I like horses better than people too.
Yes, well, they are pleasing to look at.
Now, how about this then? Why don't you pick up a brush and paint yourself up a centaur?
I have not attempted to paint for centuries.
This is just for you, Senora. No expectations. How's that sound?
I cannot believe I revealed this thing to you.
I'm glad you did. I'm a lucky fella. I get to know an Isabella D'Este no one else knows.
And no one else will know, or I will make you suffer. Capiche?
You got a deal, Senora. I'm here to be supportive, that's all. I hope that when you come back next month, we'll be having a nice conversation about you finding your muse.
Yes, perhaps. Very well, Sam. I do not understand your ways, but I cannot deny you have a certain untamed wisdom. I shall attempt to paint a centaur. This is not what I expected from therapy, but I shall do as you suggest. I shall see you in 4 weeks then. Arrivederci, Sam.
Oh yeah, see you soon, Senora. Arrivederci.
Goodbye.
Well, well, Samuel, you never cease to impress. Centaurs.
I don't think you're supposed to know about that, boss.
I am 3,000 years old, my friend. Horse people are somewhere at the very tip of my kinky iceberg. It is already forgotten.
Well, the Senora's pretty embarrassed about it, so I'd appreciate it if you kept it to yourself.
Senora D'Este is wise to put her faith in you, Samuel. I will gently remind you that relationships between therapists and clients are highly discouraged.
Oh, come on, Andy. It ain't like that. Senora D'Este is just... You're messing with me.
Of course I am. Unless...
All right, you know what? I'm going downstairs. I could use a drink.
Well earned, Samuel. Please, rest in peace.
Poor Senora. That lady's holding on to a lot of anger. Reminds me of myself as a young vampire. Pretty hot in here tonight. I think I'll get some air. Maybe I can get to know Bert a little better. Hey, Bert. How's the crowd tonight? Same old, huh? So, what do you think of Leipzig, Bert? Real fascinating architecture here. Hey, not everyone's into architecture, I get it. So what do you do for fun here? More of a homebody, I guess. Yeah, I'm a little introverted too. Spent 90 years walking in the woods, you know. Yeah, there's nothing I like better in nature. The trees, the plants, the animals. The cities just seem so dead at night. I can tell I'm interrupting. Well, nice talking to you anyway, Bert. I'm gonna head inside.
Have fun, mate.
Hey, Crimson, how's the crowd?
Hey, cowboy. Bit busy tonight, but how'd your session go?
No, I think this lady's starting to realize what she can't control, which is a lot. She's still mad as hell about it, but I think we're getting closer to acceptance.
I know how she feels, cowboy. I feel like I wasted years of my life in D.C. trying to make the world a better place. But it sounds like you are making progress to me. She's got time to make her peace. That's what Andy says about you vampires.
Yeah, that's true. We can take 40 years or 400, but that's up to us.
In the meantime, I'll whip something up for a hot summer night.
What's this now?
Blood margarita. Figured a hot-blooded desperado like you could use something cold.
Well, mighty kind of you, Crimson. I'll let you get back to work and take this up to my coffin for a quiet night.
Night, Sam.
Now let's see, what'll help me reflect on the night? I think there's something Omar Khayyam once wrote that I can look up. Or I could watch Buster Keaton almost get himself killed a bunch. Well, there's one fellow who had a death wish. Too bad he didn't become a vampire. I think that's enough for one night. Better get me some shut-eye. Got the feeling my work's gonna get harder before it gets easier.